Hi guys, welcome to this video which is going to be looking at risks and hazards and how you can reduce them in a lab. So if we start off with the hazard symbols then, you need to be able to know that this one on the right hand side is flammable, so it's the one with the flame symbol, and an example of that is hydrogen gas. On the top left we have toxic. That toxic is poisonous and can kill you, so for example chlorine and carbon monoxide and bromine water. At the top we have our exclamation mark. This means either irritant or harmful. We have corrosive down at the bottom left here, and then oxidizing over on the right hand side. Now it's important to know all of those, but it's also important to know ways we can reduce risk. So if you get a question asking you how you can stay safe in a lab, some of the key things you need to be able to answer are to wear gloves if you're dealing with dangerous chemicals, wearing a lab coat, wearing safety goggles, if you're using a flame, tie your hair back so make sure it doesn't set on fire, and finally wash your hands if any of it goes on your skin. So those are the generic ways to stay safe, but there are some extra ones you need to remember. So for example, if you're heating magnesium ribbon in a crucible, the key thing to remember is that magnesium itself gives off a bright white flame when it's set on fire. So to keep yourself safe, you can use one of those blue shields and make sure that you're not looking directly at the flame. The second thing with this is that apparator is going to be hot. Hot things are obviously hot, therefore make sure you leave it until it cools down. You could also use heat resistant gloves. Another extra safety precaution is, for example, if you're heating copper carbonate and that gas is being bubbled through lime water, so that's the test to see if lime water turns carbon dioxide cloudy. The issue is, when you turn the heat off in that situation, the air and the gas cools down and shrinks. So when that happens, that liquid, that lime water, is going to be sucked back up through the tube. It's going to go into a boiling hot boiling tube, and that boiling tube is going to shatter. So the way to reduce the risk is to make sure that delivery tube is removed from the lime water before you stop heating. That stops any suck back and it stops anything from getting damaged. One final precaution then is the electrolysis of salt water, or indeed any reaction that gives off chlorine or a toxic gas. So the key thing to note from this, as I've said, is chlorine itself is toxic, so you need to open a window and get some ventilation in, or alternatively use a fume cupboard which will extract the fumes for you so you don't breathe them in. Okay, we have a couple of questions here then. So the first one says, describe a safety precaution when using hydrogen gas. It's worth 2 marks, so I would state the hazard symbol and state what you should do to be careful with it. Number 2, explain what precautions you should take when dealing with carbon monoxide. So think, what type of chemical is carbon monoxide, what hazard symbol would it have, and what can you do to make sure you're safe. And then number 3, have a look at the bottle. It says, what are the hazards when dealing with the following chemical and what you should do to lower the risk. So that's worth 3 marks. Have a go, pause the video now, and we'll see how you've done in a minute. Okay, let's have a go through them then. So number 1, describe a safety precaution when using hydrogen gas. So the key thing here is that hydrogen is flammable. And because it's flammable, the obvious safety precaution is keep away from Bunsen burners and keep away from open flames. Either of those would have got you the second mark. For question 2, explain what precautions you should take when dealing with carbon monoxide. Key thing is that carbon monoxide is toxic. Therefore, if anything is toxic, you need to keep the room well ventilated or use a fume cupboard. Either of those would have got you the second mark. The reason you're doing that is to make sure you don't inhale them, you don't breathe in the fumes. Question 3, what are the hazards when dealing with the following chemical? So this is barium chloride, it's got the exclamation mark, and what should you do to lower the risk? So your key thing here is it's harmful. That's what that exclamation mark means. If it's harmful, wear goggles to protect your eyes, wear gloves to protect your skin, and if you do get it on your skin for any reason, wash it off straight away. So that's worth 3 marks, so any 3 of those 4 points would have got you 3 out of 3. That's about it for this video. I have 3 review questions for you as well though. Number 1 being, what safety precautions would you follow when heating copper carbonate and passing the gas through lime water, as you can see in this diagram here? Explain the dangers of heating magnesium directly with a Bunsen burner and what should you do to lower the risk. And then number 3, explain the dangers of bleach, which is corrosive. And that is the end of this video. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, click on the subscribe button down below, visit the website, and you can find me on Facebook and Twitter.